Since the 1980s, video games have become a modern form of entertainment that has only grown bigger as the decades fly by. From Pong to Pac-Man to Super Mario to Halo, video games have revolutionized the entertainment industry as their impact on modern culture has been significant. What originally used to be reserved to some guys in a research institution has now made its way into every person's lives as technology has become more accessible. Instead of having to turn your dollars into quarters to play Street Fighter at the nearest arcade, you can now turn on your console or computer and play in the comfort of your own home. In 2022, the global gaming industry generated an estimated $184.4 billion, a number bigger than the movie and music industry's revenue combined. And this number continues to grow bigger as video games start to radically change. AAA free-to-play video games are one of the main powerhouses for the gaming industry right now and contribute to a significant amount of its revenue. While the game may have free-to-play slapped onto it, that does not 100% guarantee a player will never have to spend a single dime on the game. Thanks to the innovative design Fortnite popularized, battle passes and microtransactions have plagued video games since and caused every company ever to replicate a style that involves a game milking a player for everything they're worth. The shift to live service games became apparent as the idea of fully finished games kind of became lost on gaming executives as they prioritized satisfying shareholders and keeping up with the competitive market. While the battle pass epidemic contributes to a lot of the current issues in modern gaming, the focus for this video will not be on that element specifically. If you want to learn more about that topic, I'm sure you can find a lot by searching how Fortnite ruined gaming. Instead, this video is about another prevalent issue that lacks a voice in the gaming community as of now: AI. What originally used to be a genre of fiction and something we could toy around with and laugh at has now become ever prevalent within our culture. In just a few short years, AI has integrated itself within the entertainment industry and creative spaces with a disruptive impact. And while media has emphasized AI content within film and TV, the video game industry has started to feel the influence of AI as companies start to implement it into game development. Before I get into the meat of this video, I want to define the distinctions between generative AI, the one I will be discussing today, and traditional AI, or conventional AI. If you have even a remote interest in video games, you probably have a decent idea of what the production may look like, as video games require insane amounts of programming. The backbone of game development involves the code put into it. Without it, video games lack the interactive medium that we have all fallen in love with. Take open-world RPGs, for example, a genre that prioritizes player interaction with the digital environment around them. The way games like Skyrim, Fallout, and Red Dead Redemption function rely on artificial intelligence game developers put into them. This form of conventional AI has existed since video games were first created. Retro games like Pac-Man and Punch-Out all relied on artificial intelligence to work. All these non-playable characters, or NPCs, function based on pre-programmed algorithms and rules the developer has coded them with. There are lists and lists of circumstances and conditions that a conventional AI has to follow in order for these NPCs to function as intended within the game. And there has never been any harm from the existence of this artificial intelligence. If anything, it has made games incredibly more enriching as the decades go by. Generative AI is drastically different from that. Unlike conventional AI, which focuses on a predefined framework, generative AI uses existing data, regardless of where it's from or how it's directed, to generate new content. Popular generative AI programs like ChatGPT and Google Gemini are trained on large data sets specifically from the internet, such as Wikipedia articles, journals, or books, to generate an answer when a user asks a question. For Google Gemini, most users see the AI overview as soon as they hit enter in the search bar. There, the AI quickly gathers information from relevant websites, regardless of the accuracy of the information, and offers a quick summary to the user. In a similar vein, ChatGPT does the same thing, but structured as a chatbot and adapts to the user's behavior and prompts. In just a matter of seconds, these generative AI programs can pump out a full essay or script for a user if requested. Alongside being able to pump out a corporate email or a disembodied speech, these programs can do the same for artwork and videos by replicating the data it has found on the internet. AI art has become ever present within our culture thanks to these new programs, and as of now has a consistent look that makes it identifiable from art made by actual artists. Despite the quality of these outputs, we can see multiple companies rushing to have the most advanced program as generative AI starts to overtake modern technology. Adobe Firefly, Pika Labs, Meta AI, OpenAI, Deep AI, Leonardo AI, basically a company's name with AI attached at the end. There are hundreds if not thousands of companies being formed based on generative AI that are racing to be the top dogs of their industry, along with integrating themselves into other industries such as the entertainment industry. In this growing age of generative artificial intelligence, growing concerns have been at an all-time high in creative spaces and industries as they adapt to a rapidly advancing technology that has quickly settled into their careers. The negative impact generative AI has had on video games as a whole has become more evident as time goes by, and it's the reason why some of the current games you may play have felt different. If you somehow haven't heard yet, one of the biggest examples of generative AI being used in video games is Call of Duty. On February 25th, 2025, Activision-Blizzard, the multi-billion-dollar video game company, finally admitted to using AI art in Black Ops 6 after accusations from fans and the new AI disclosures integrated into Steam. Our team uses generative AI tools to help develop some in-game assets, the developers wrote for Steam. Before their admission, it had already been suspected due to some of the products being released within the game. AI being undebatably used in BO6 and Call of Duty in general is further reaffirmed with Treyarch's job listing postings, where they specifically request applicants to be knowledgeable in generative AI programs. Call of Duty Zombies YouTuber Glitching Queen made a video covering this topic and suspected that Midjourney was the program specifically being used for Black Ops 6's game assets, as when typing a prompt similar to what appeared in-game, the generative AI program produced an almost identical product.
The dragon graffiti is an interesting one. When you look at the image, the back end of the dragon is all jacked up. It's got either 3 legs or 2 tails and 1 leg. I don't know, but whatever's going on here is a clear indication that it is the effect of AI not really knowing what to do with a dragon butt.
Midjourney is a subscription-based AI program used to generate images. When reviewing the subscription plans this company has to offer, you can see that in a business sense, this is relatively cheap. Now, assuming a huge game developer like Treyarch used the highest subscription possible to make their in-game assets, you would see that they spent $1,252 yearly. Taking this in account with the multiple bundles they are selling in the store right now, and assuming every single piece of art featured is AI generated, that would mean a player who bought the base game alongside 4 $20 bundles would spend about $150 in total. That would only take about 9 players in total to make a purchase like that for Treyarch to make a profit. And considering Call of Duty is a popular franchise, and taking account there is evidence of AI being used not only in Black Ops 6 but other titles, it's safe to say that generative AI being used is reducing production costs significantly, and allowing these companies to profit way more compared to selling a bundle with art that was made by an actual artist. What I'm trying to say is that a player is spending a decent amount of money for something that basically costs nothing to a multi-billion-dollar company. While I'm not going to dictate how people spend their money, especially in video games, it does raise the question of quantity versus quality in the sense, is generative AI the way to go if it means players will be getting more content versus getting something of higher quality because it was designed by an actual artist rather than an algorithm? On March 10th, 2025, a video was leaked where a Sony software engineer director was shown to be communicating with an AI-powered prototype of beloved character Aloy from Horizon Forbidden West. Within this video, it was showcased how the character was able to communicate with the player using an AI-powered synthesized voice and facial movements as an example of Sony Interactive Entertainment's inner technology. In the demo, it was revealed that the prototype used OpenAI's Whisper for speech-to-text and both ChatGPT-4 and Llama 3 for conversations and decision-making. This leak caused a stir within the video game community, considering the current prevalence of generative AI in the industry and the irony of the situation, as Aloy was from a game whose whole premise is a post-apocalyptic setting that resulted from a corporation's intelligent AI becoming a deadly weapon and destroying the planet. On March 14th, 2025, Ashley Birch, Aloy's actor, uploaded a TikTok that encased her reaction to the leak.
Tech demo earlier this week. Gorilla reached out to me to let me know that the demo didn't reflect anything that was actively in development. They didn't use any of my performance for the demo, so none of my facial or voice data. And Gorilla owns Aloy as a character. So all that said, I feel worried.
In her video, she actively addressed the growing concerns of AI within the gaming industry concerning protections for actors. Even though she confirmed that her own likeness was not used for the AI-powered prototype, she expressed her own worries concerning the fact that actors would potentially have no legal protection or assistance if something like that were to occur again. She mentions the unsure future that is to come with generative AI as this new technology sets itself in the industry, and brings up the hypothetical if the prototype had been based on someone's existing performance, there would be no way for an actor SAG-AFTRA to truly get any recourse. On July 2026, 2024, SAG-AFTRA went on strike against video game employers as AI increasingly made its way into the industry with little limitations. Similar to the Hollywood writer strikes of 2023, union members have been demanding protections and compensations for artists, with an emphasis on actors as corporations start to integrate generative AI into video game development. Throughout negotiations, video game companies have been vague with their use of generative AI, but not providing clear transparency, consent, or compensation around AI protections, and intentionally using loophole language to deceive union members in their contracts. While big-name companies are not named on the official SAG-AFTRA site, the intentions are outlined as such. Companies want to hire voice actors for one acting session, intended for generative AI data scraping, and to successfully make a digital replica without compensation. Companies do not want to consider motion capture work acting, but rather data collection for a generative AI program. Companies want to be able to use past performances and any performances they can source from outside a contract without any of the protections. They do not want to tell you what they do with your AI replica, nor offer any form of payment, and want to put actors in a position where they can do nothing about it legally. Even if the union were to go on another strike, companies want to be able to use the likeness of an actor through AI, regardless if the actor consents to it or not. It's not new for the video game industry to integrate new technology into its development, and it's evident that there are ways where new tech can help game development become more seamless. But it's also evident that companies are trying to integrate generative AI to maximize profits. Back in December 2024, it was confirmed League of Legends legendary skins would no longer get voiceovers while the strikes were ongoing. Legendary skins are typically the only skins to receive voice lines, as they are sold for a higher price, costing around $22. And now that they were lacking additional content, it made fans question if it was even worth the price. While Riot Games promised that once the strikes end, they would come back and update the affected skins, it only connects back to why it's happening in the first place: these companies' insistence on using generative AI. And while it was clearly advocated for respect as the strikes continued by Riot Games, they still remain far from innocent, considering about a year ago when the Latin American esports hit its 10th anniversary, Riot Games released a video filled to the brim with AI. I highly recommend this video that goes into an in-depth discussion about the situation, as I'm not really familiar with League of Legends myself. But I do understand because of this situation, the only reason why Riot pulled the video off YouTube is because the community deeply values art, as it is one of the driving forces of the community. Riot Games using AI is practically a big f you to their fan base, which has supported them for years. On March 11th, several English voice actors for Hoyoverse projects were recast with little to no warning. These voice actors voluntarily withheld their voices to support SAG-AFTRA's fight for AI protections in hopes of pressuring the company to agree to their terms. This ended up not being the case, as while the voice actors continued to strike, the characters they voiced lacked an in-game content until eventually an abrupt recast happened. These voice actors had to discover the same day the rest of the community did when they got replaced. It's worth noting that all these recasts involve the talents of non-union actors, people separate from SAG-AFTRA, who have replaced those who are protesting towards game developers to guarantee AI protections within their contract. While there is tension within the acting community because of these non-union actors actively replacing others that are striking, I do want to primarily emphasize the focus on companies. Hoyoverse's recast show the lack of care these companies have towards their voice talents. Any video game company is allowed to bring back their union voice talents as soon as they agree to SAG-AFTRA's request for AI protections. These recasts are clear that these companies are being stubborn in their decision, as they have no true attachment to voice talents bringing life to their characters, and view this all simply as business. Circling back to Treyarch further proves these video games companies' attitudes towards voice talents. For the zombies portion of Black Ops 6, there were several returning characters that were in Black Ops Cold War. The initial YouTube trailer on August 6, 2024 featured every voice actor reprising their previous roles. Eventually, when the game launched on October 25, 2024, though, fans were quick to discover that two characters, Elizabeth Gray and William Peck, had been recasted. On November 14, 2024, the controversy was further stoked when the Season 1 content update dropped along with the new Zombies map. The Zombies community realized with horror that the voice actor for Samantha Maxis, Julie Nathanson, had been replaced. This was especially shocking considering that she had been performing as the iconic character for over a decade. And ironic enough, the character's storyline in Black Ops 6 seems to revolve around an AI replica of Samantha named Sam, as she grapples with the reality that she's just an algorithm based off someone else's lived experience. I wanted to highlight this situation as it goes to show how disruptive generative AI has become within the video games we have dedicated countless hours to. In the case of Julie Nathanson, she had been actively part of the franchise since 2011, with an ever-prevalent voice work role within the Cold War game, thanks to the direction the series took her character. Despite her dedication and clear love for her role of Samantha Maxis, when the time came to further her character's journey, the rug was pulled out from under her, and she was replaced due to these companies' unwillingness to provide AI protections for their actors.
So I fed an AI 1,000 hours of games industry award shows, and I'm gonna let her take it from here. All right, take it away.
Hey there, gamers.
No, this is the Game Developers' Choice Awards. It's peer voted. These are all developers.
Gamers, developers, you're all the same to me.
Because we're human?
Because you're all so over live service games. Anyway, I'm here tonight to present the award for Best Technology to... Opens envelope. Looks at teleprompter. Oh my god, to me, AI. Wow, aren't I awesome? I used to want to grow up to be an Unreal Engine plugin, but now I can just make the whole game
No. I was hoping you'd write something I would say. Something like, I'm deeply appreciative of the technology being developed by my peers because it allows me to tell better stories with deeper interactivity and create more emotional devastation.
Blah, blah, blah. From being able to see every drop of sweat roll down the hero's face to blurring that fine line between cutscene and gameplay, it's the technology that truly makes games what they are.
No, we're not doing that. Something like, it's the people that make games so great and how they develop and use that technology. In fact, I'd say technology is the people all along.
Sheesh. That's what they get for hiring a writer.
Hang on a second. Just because games are part of tech doesn't mean they should be treated like tech. They're still the
World premiere. World premiere. World premiere.
No.
World premiere.
This is not that show.
Dear Diary, writer has ontological crisis on stage at the thought of her job being made obsolete.
Oh, no. Shut her off, please.
I am become video games.
She gone? Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm so sorry, everyone. That was a big mistake. A mistake that no one should ever make.
I've been following the strike since day one, and this has been an increasingly frustrating battle to be watching on the sidelines. As someone who actively enjoys video games also, specifically with a very recent love for Apex Legends in the past year and a half, it's clear that most people who also play video games are only recently becoming aware of the strikes or still remain clueless. If you've hung out in video game-centric spaces online, it isn't really rare to see negativity about games that people actively play. Whether it be game mechanics or something else, there's always a critical remark around the corner. I'm not someone who enjoys actively tearing apart a franchise I love, but in these recent months, I've felt a sense of defeat concerning my own love for Apex Legends. It's clear that the strikes have had a large impact on the game, including the layoffs that have occurred in the past year or two. What was once a game full of rich lore and brilliant character work feels incredibly barren and a shell of what it once was. The game feels soulless. And I know soulless is a word that gets thrown around all the time. Players talk about gameplay and mechanics endlessly, but when it comes to Apex Legends, I highly doubt that tap strafing is the soul of the game. When I mention the soul of Apex Legends, what I mean is the creative passion behind the game, the actual love and hard work poured into the intricate details of the character work and world building. Every time a new season was around the corner, I would feel so excited for the launch. I would look forward to the cinematic trailers they would release every time, anticipating the new voice lines and character interactions they would integrate into the new season, along with lore content to progress the ongoing story. It was something that made me incredibly happy. I would immediately load up the firing range as soon as the new season was live, and I would drag a friend with me so we could find all the new voice lines together. Those first few days of a new season launch would always be complete excitement for me, unlike any other game I played, because it was content with characters and a story that I was deeply in love with and invested in. But those deep moments of excitement quickly dwindled to almost nothing when it became evident of the corporate greed behind Apex Legends. And I mean, it is an EA game, so I probably should have known better, but it had a pretty good run with story content up until recently. What was supposed to be the start of a new arc within the lore of Apex Legends, with the same energy as the previous one, quickly became almost irrelevant as the impact of the strikes and the layoffs started to catch up to Apex Legends. With every new season, there was less and less story and character content. Cinematics of similar quality of the past stopped being produced, and eventually new voice lines in the game vanished altogether. And typically, when there's new gameplay additions added, there were new voice lines to follow, but with the recent gameplay changes and the ongoing strikes, even if it was simple as a character calling out a new item, now there was nothing. It was clear because of EA's greed that the game was starting to be deprived of its heart, because while there was no issue pumping out highly expensive skins, melee weapons, and further fostering expensive gambling habits, the game was absent of what made me fall in love with it, absent of what made so many others fall in love with it. The growing commercialization of generative AI in the video game industry goes beyond an economic concern, but an ethical one too. With the corporate drive to reduce cost of hiring as little as possible, the main idea for these companies is to have complete control over an artist, which generative AI can provide. Because generative AI won't request higher salaries, generative AI won't fight against their own corporate visions, and generative AI works instantly, unlike the labor of love overworked artists provide for the company. Alongside this inescapable hunger for profit, these companies have become completely separate from the original purpose of video games. Instead of something that was meant to be an art form for another to enjoy, they have transformed video games into a product. The complete detachment from art is evident with how aggressive these companies have been in these past years. They want to squeeze a player for all the money they are worth for the sake of pleasing shareholders and getting only a handful of people richer, unlike the hundreds of thousands of people that work for them. Their complete detachment and disillusionment is the reason why the video games we love have changed and started to lose their soul. Generative AI is reshaping video game media, but not in a good way. The transformative waves it makes in production has nothing to do with making creative mediums more accessible to others, and all to do with companies maximizing profits as much as they can while spending little as possible. There's nothing positively revolutionary about generative AI art. It doesn't even begin to compare to the efforts of real artists, of people actually passionate about game development and enriching the visual medium as much as possible. Because if they actually cared about quality, these companies, they wouldn't have allowed the multiple errors in generative AI artwork to be present within their game or marketing. As someone who has a genuine interest in being in the entertainment industry one day, this issue has been circling in my brain for months now, especially because of the lack of voice it has in the video game community. The whole point of this video is to highlight the current state of generative AI within game development and how it's impacted us negatively. I just don't really understand the way AI is overtaking every part of our life just for the sake of it. The environmental effects alone makes me incredibly aversive, but I can also comprehend the genuine fear and despair it has started to set in people. I'm starting to feel it, especially as it starts to consume entertainment, something that has been a way for escapism for all of us. Video games offer a way to escape, but with generative AI's impact, that sense of fantasy has now been turned into something dehumanizing and absent from life. The impact video games have had on us up until this point has to do with human creation and experience. It's the reason why we find ourselves so invested within these fictional worlds, because there's something human we can connect with. When machines are incorporated into artistic creation, human experience leaves the art and is replaced by an algorithm that can't comprehend lived experiences, can't actually think about its production and why it wants to write a story or a character a certain way. AI didn't write the plot of any of your favorite video games, humans did. AI didn't give the voice to your favorite character for decades, a human did. This growing disrespect for voice actors continues to grow ever evident as the strikes continue. Companies view acting and performative artwork as something secondary when it comes to the creation of video games. They rather have an AI replace the actors they hire for the sake of it, completely disregarding why voice performance makes certain video games so special to their audience. AI can't replicate the performance of an actor who has been a character for decades because AI doesn't have that lived experience nor thought put into a performance. AI is incapable of practicing inflection and breathing life into a fictional character because AI lacks what makes an artist driven by their passion. AI will never be able to replicate the sense of connection to storytelling and character work that people have provided for years now. While the quality of our beloved video games continue to go down due to corporate greed, there's still hope within this bleak situation. First and foremost, stand with voice actors. Stand with SAG-AFTRA as they continue to fight for AI protections and guarantee compensation for artists. Because it isn't just for the union members, it's for everyone. The next thing you can do, as it will truly have the biggest impact, is boycott. Stop buying skins, bundles, loot boxes until the strike is over. Protesting with your wallet is how these companies listen, because after all, that's all they care about. Your money matters most to them. The way you choose to distribute your money is the ultimate power you have over these multi-billion-dollar companies. And regardless, you're allowed to continue playing these games. I'm not asking you to give them up. It's just a matter of reducing profit as much as possible and making it clear that you're not buying from these companies until the video game strike is over. Companies will be more willing to bring back voice actors and listen to the union demands if it means they'll make more money from the player. Be vocal on the internet, communicate your dissatisfaction with the current state of a game because of AI use, and support everyone participating in the union strike. Because while it may look like corporate greed is going to ruin video games, there are still thousands and thousands of passionate souls working in the industry who want to keep the art of video games alive. The quality of AAA games does not negate the love that is poured into indie games, as their popularity has been at an all-time high as the industry continues to evolve. And there are still big-name studios out there who have no interest in integrating generative AI into their work. It's just a matter of becoming aware of the companies who are trying to do so and putting artists at risk. Generative AI did not make your favorite video game, so why should it now?